Hanukah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Sleeve on to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed their sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed their sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Oy Hanukah, yom tefashen, alustik a bliglet and nikol of hazen, alelachim tevach shtil and bir. Kese grace latkes es von a shir, geschwinder, sind kinder, die kelit al achor. Zot al anissim, mein Gott, vor die Nissim und Kuh, wir tanzen in Gott. Zot al anissim, mein Gott, vor die Nissim und Kuh, wir tanzen in Gott.
Hello, Shalom. Happy Hanukkah. I'm Rabbi Lynn Liberman, the community chaplain of Jewish Family Service of St. Paul, and I'm just so happy to be here with you, even on this recording. As many of us know, these are challenging times, and I so wish that I could be there right there with you, as we have in the past, and celebrate this joyful holiday and learn about it and have a few moments to be together. And I look forward to those days too. Perhaps the story of Hanukkah is one of miracles, and I hope for that miracle of healing and well-being to the entire world. But at least for now, a few moments together that we can listen to some of the music of Hanukkah and talk about the story and the rituals and the themes of the celebration, and provide for ourselves just a space of happiness and joyfulness in this season. I'm delighted to be here with you. As we go along, if there's music that you know to sing to please join in and sing out and clap your hands and really allow yourself to be in this space of joyfulness. We'll talk about the stories, and I'll do a Hanukah lighting with us for you, and some other moments to share. So this is a celebration that always comes in the wintertime. We know that Hanukkah is one of the lower, not the most significant holiday observances in the Jewish calendar. It actually is far less important than, say, Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. It's just that it happens at this time of the year that it gets a little bit more of attention. Hanukkah begins next Thursday night, December 10th, and that'll be the first candle. It coincides in the Hebrew month of Kislev, the 25th of Kislev. We begin Hanukkah with lighting one candle itself, as I'll do in just a few moments, with the assistance of the shamash, the helper candle. Hanukkah really is about bringing light. One of its biggest messages, I believe, is bringing light into the world. And in particular at this time of the year, when it is the darkest, not just a Minnesota dark, but everywhere, we have less light in the time of the day, and it's colder. And so when we can celebrate something that we can push out light into the world, what a gift to illuminate and to bring forth hope and possibility. Sometimes people comment that they just love the menorah, as you can see. It's beautiful 8 lights, especially when they're all lit on that last day. But if you asked me honestly, I would tell you the first night is my favorite night. On the first night, just that one candle that we light, one small flame, illuminates such vast darkness. That's like the spark that's within each of us. If we can just keep that spark alive, make it a little brighter, how much more in the world around us where we live and our vast community beyond, that we can bring light into the world. That is a light of hope, possibility, and the future being one in peace and well-being. truly this time, a time of well-being and good health for all of us. The Hanukkah story. We all know that story from perhaps our childhood about that little cruise, that little pot of oil that lasts, but I'll tell that story and then I'm going to add a little something to it that you might not know. The story as it goes is that around 168 BCE, and that dates are a little uncertain, the historical reality being within a few years of that time. So we're talking a long time ago when the ancient temple in Jerusalem was standing. It was the focal point of the Jewish community for gathering and for prayer and for celebration. And it was at that time in the ancient times that Antiochus, who was the king of the Syrians, came about and said, I'm going to be the only one in charge. And I don't want these other groups doing different things around me. So what I'm going to do is make sure that everybody follows what I say. And he knew that there were people that were very content in observing their faith tradition, and that to get rid of that, for example, amongst the Jewish people, he had to make sure that the holiest places for them to gather were no longer available. So he went to Jerusalem and conquered it from the people, and while there, desecrated the temple. And he threw blood all over the place and knocked down the elements in the temple. And it became a place that was no longer available for the Jews to gather and observe our rituals and our faith tradition. He also decreed that the study of Torah should be banned. And this, of course, meant that the Jews were left with no way to give public and full expression to their faith tradition. Well, not too far away from Jerusalem, in a town called Midi'im, there was a leader there, a Kohen Gadol, Mattathias, and he said, this is not who we are. This is not how we follow our faith tradition. And he said, declaring, whoever is for God, follow me. Now, this was extraordinary. His sons came to be part of this effort to reclaim the temple, the famous one, Judah Maccabee. They didn't have a lot of weapons. They didn't have a lot of military skill. They were farmers. They were just simple people that were out living their lives. And yet they felt compelled to reclaim the temple and to return the opportunity for the Jews, the ancient Israelites, to be able to celebrate our faith. And so as a scrappy band of fighting men, sort of like guerrilla warfare, they took on the mighty Syrian army and they won. Back there in Jerusalem then, they reclaimed the temple, they came back into it, and they realized that after 3 years of really hard fighting, they discovered that it indeed was desecrated. But they knew from their father, they knew that what they had to do was to clean the temple and restore it back to its usefulness. And so they scrubbed and they cleaned and they replaced elements where they needed to go, and then looked for the oil to relight the lamp, and discovered only a small amount. At which point Judah Maccabee said, let's light our light and we'll do the best we can. But in the meantime, I will send a fast horse with our best rider to go and get more holy oil. And then you know this story. That little pot of oil lasted for 8 days, the time it took for the rider to leave and come back to bring additional oil. And that is the miracle. Almost. What also happened is that the rabbis in the ancient world noticed that in the following year after this miracle of victory, that the ancient Israelites were celebrating basically a moment in time that was about warriors and overcoming by being a powerful army. And in our tradition, that doesn't suit us well. The ancient rabbi said, it's not because of our might or our capacity to be very creative, even as scrappy warriors. It's because we had God on our side, because we had the Spirit. And so they infused into this time, which was a military victory, a story of miracle, the miracle of the oil lasting for 8 days. They modeled the 8 after holidays in our Jewish tradition that also have 8, such as Sukkot and Passover, and that light, that we have so much light in our Jewish tradition, would be part of this celebration as well, to bring light into the world. Both stories are good to know, both stories are important, and it's nice to have access to them all. So another moment of a little more music.
Light the menorah, let's have a party, we'll all dance a hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. While we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, these shadows we light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, these shadows we light to remind us of days long ago. Hanukah, Hanukah, from Hanukah menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat.
Great song, Hanukah, Hanukah. So in the moment of thinking more about this holiday, just wanted to share a reading about light, about the candle, just to give us a pause to think for a moment. This is written by Rabbi Aaron Mass. There is something about a candle that makes it more spiritual than physical. A physical substance, when spread, becomes thin. Spirituality, when spread, expands and grows. When you use something physical, it is diminished. The more money you spend, the less you have. The more gasoline you use, the emptier your tank becomes. But the spiritual things increase with use. If you share your love with another, you will become more loving, not less. And when you give a spiritual gift, the recipient gains and you lose nothing. This spiritual property, candles share. When you use one candle to light another, the original candle remains bright. Its light is not diminished by being shared. On the contrary, two candles together enhance each other's brightness and increase the light. As we think about this holiday, what can we do to increase the light? A few questions just to give you a pause to think. What are your moments of hope today? Where do you find miracles in your life? And how might you bring light, greater light, into the world? So let's continue with menorah lighting. I'm going to reach over here for my Hanukah. Here we are. And as if it were the first night, we will all be there together. I will light my candle and share the blessings. There we go. And they go like this. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, Mayamim ha'ed ba'azman hazeh. And for the first time of lighting, the Shehechianu, the gratitude for simply being here to celebrate this festival this year together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh. And sing Ma'otzor Yeshuati, Echana Elishabeach, Tichom Beit Tefilati, V'sham Toda Nizabeach, Le'etachin Matbeach, Mitzacham Nabeach, Azegmor b'shir mizmor, Hanukah tamizbeach. Azegmor b'shir mizmor, Hanukah tamizbeach. Just going to move our beautiful menorah to the side, just to share in our last few moments together a few more fun things. There are not a lot of rituals to our holiday, but there certainly are some fun aspects to it, things that are very much what we enjoy to do. One of which is to play dreidel. And I have a number of dreidels I'm going to show you. I'm going to just play a little bit of the dreidel song while we do that and enjoy this very old game. It's about a spinning top. I have quite a number, and the joy of just being fun and having kind of the kid at heart come out to play with us.
Little dreidel, I made it out of clay. When it's dry and ready, oh dreidel, I should play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel, I should play.
I look forward to actually playing the dreidel game with you, perhaps at another time next year when we can all be together again. To just show you something that's wonderful to know about Hanukkah, this is actually an ancient lamp from the time of Judah Maccabee. In the old days, they wouldn't have had candles, they would have had oil, and this would have been the style of lamp that they would have used. You can see that it is an antique, and it has a sort of burnt feature here to the part where the wick would have been. So you have to use your imagination that 8 lamps would have been placed side by side to create the image of the menorah that you see behind me. So as we're getting to the end of our time together, it's been just a delight to be here with you. Of course, I wish I could bring the foods of the season to you. Hanukkah gelt, chocolate gelt that would have been perhaps used in our dreidel game, and certainly latkes. If you could just smell the delicious oil that is part of the cooking of the latkes, and oil, of course, reminding us of the oil for the miracle of Hanukkah, the oil lamps that were lit in the temple to rededicate it, as well as one more beautiful food to eat. I have here in front of me a beautiful plate of jelly donuts, in Hebrew called sufganiyot. And of course, the reason that there's a tradition to eat sufganiyot, because they're boiled in oil, they're made in oil. Probably the things our doctors would not want us to eat. However, they are so delicious and so wonderful. So as I end this time with you today, I share with you the blessings of the miracle of Hanukkah, that you indeed find a measure of renewed light in your life, that the spark that each of us holds within continues to burn, and that gets brighter as our darkness will begin to turn to light, and each of us can enjoy the opportunity to live out our lives in freedom, us and our neighbors. And so as we end, I will play for you a final song and enjoy our donuts.
איפה סוף 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 השמחה